bare legs, freezing rivers, a paycheck for every man willing to wade in and fight. That's the whole business right there. For 300 straight years, Highland fighters crossed the water into Ireland for pay. 300 years. That's longer than the United States has existed as a country. 10 surnames. 10 bloodlines. And number 1 connects to the war that came closest to breaking English rule in Ireland for good. Here's the short version of how this trade worked. The first wave, called Gallowglass, were armored Hebridean mercenaries who fought for Gaelic Irish lords from the 1200s through the 1500s, and most of them settled and never left. The second wave, the ones this list is really about, got a different name from the English. Redshanks. Bare-legged in their native climate, hired for shorter contracts, harder wars, and a lot less loyalty to the land they fought on. The Antrim Doorway. These first 3 names crossed the water before the English even had a word for what these men were. Number 10. Bisset. Picture a tournament field in 13th century Scotland. Horses, swords, drunk noblemen, and a fight that starts as sport and ends with a man's throat cut open. That's what put the Bisset name on this list. John Bisset got thrown out of Scotland after a killing at a tournament in 1242, and the body count was bad enough that exile was the only thing that kept him alive. He didn't disappear, though. He landed in Ireland and got granted the Glens of Antrim, a Norman-Scottish foothold sitting right on Irish soil. That land, and the marriages that came with it, pulled the Bisset family straight into the Highland military world that followed. If your name is Bisset, your bloodline traces back to a killing that turned into a kingdom. Number 9. McGillespie. The name sounds like it belongs to a priest, not a soldier. It doesn't. McGillespie comes from the Gaelic for son of the servant of the bishop, a name that sounds like it should end in a church register, not a body count. But the family's roots run through the Hebrides, tight against Clan Campbell, one of the most powerful military networks in the Highlands, and records place McGillespie men in documented service in Ulster, right inside the mercenary stream that fed Ireland's wars. If your name is McGillespie, your ancestor's name might sound like a churchman's title, but his job was war. Number 8. MacNaughton. From the Gaelic, son of Necton. The MacNaughtons were an Argyll clan, and Argyll sat right on the coastline that fed fighters into Ireland. There's a documented Antrim branch of the family, proof that this wasn't just a name that stayed put in Scotland. Antrim became the crossing point where kinship and armed service came together. If your name is MacNaughton, your bloodline runs from an Argyll hillside straight into an Ulster war camp. 3 names, 3 routes into Ireland, and none of them waited for a war to be officially declared. But the next names on this list don't show up until Ireland is already burning, until the Crown and the Gaelic lords are locked in open war, and the pay for a Highland sword goes up. The Redshank Wars. Number 7. MacLeod. Picture an island clan that could move faster across open water than the English Navy could track them. That's MacLeod. The name carries both Old Norse and Gaelic roots, and the clan's home base sat on Lewis and Harris, islands cut off from the mainland by miles of cold sea, and that isolation turned into an advantage. Records document MacLeod men serving as Redshanks in Ulster during the Elizabethan Wars, hired for specific campaigns rather than settling on Irish land the way the old Gallowglass families had. If your name is MacLeod, your bloodline crossed that sea more than once, and never as settlers. Number 6. MacRanald. And here's a name that gets confused with a much more famous one. This is a MacDonald branch, but it's not the same MacDonald line that settled Antrim and became the MacDonalds there. MacRanald comes from Clanranald, Gaelic for son of Ranald, a separate branch with its own war record entirely. Their service ran through the western seaways, through the old Lordship of the Isles network, a web of clan alliances that moved fighting men wherever the money was. The clan fought, that much is certain, though the exact name of the man on the boat isn't always written down. If your name is MacRanald, your bloodline connects to a branch of the Isles military world, even if the individual record is still out there waiting to be found. You're halfway through this list. If you're finding this one interesting, now's the time to hit subscribe, because we've got more of these countdowns coming, and you don't want to miss the next one. Spanish ships landing on the Irish coast. Thousands of soldiers, foreign gold, and a rebel leader who came one battle away from ending English rule in Ireland for good. Hugh O'Neill led that rebellion. The 9 Years' War fought from 1594 to 1603, and it turned a local uprising into an international fight for control of the whole island. That war pulled in a northern clan. Clan Mackay of Strathnaver has a direct, documented tie to the fighting, hired into the last stretch of it when both sides threw everything they had left onto the field. Number 5. Mackay. The name comes from the Gaelic son of Iod. Iod meaning fire, fitting for men who showed up at the most desperate point of the war. If your name is Mackay, your bloodline carries the memory of men paid to fight in a war that almost changed what Ireland became, uprising into an international fight for control of the whole island. That war pulled in a northern clan. Clan Mackay of Strathnaver has a direct, documented tie to the fighting, hired into the last stretch of it, when both sides threw everything they had left onto the field. The name comes from the Gaelic son of Iod. Iod meaning fire, fitting for men who showed up at the most desperate point of the war. If your name is Mackay, your bloodline carries the memory of men paid to fight in a war that almost changed what Ireland became. Number 4. Monroe. This one sounds Scottish through and through. Say it out loud, it doesn't sound like it belongs anywhere near Ireland. But trace it back far enough, and some historians land on a different answer. The River Roe in Ulster, long before the name ever crossed to Scotland at all. That origin is debated, and it should be treated that way. But what's not debated is what happened next. The name got carried north, reshaped inside Gaelic Scotland, turned into a Highland clan name. Then, during the Elizabethan campaigns, Monroe fighters got hired and sent back into Ulster, the same route run in reverse. If your name is Monroe, your bloodline might have made that crossing twice. Once out of Ireland, centuries ago, and once back in as a soldier's name, paid to fight on the same ground his ancestors may have left. Names under verification. The last 3 names on this list carry a different kind of honesty. A shared surname and a documented war record don't always travel together, and that gap matters more here than anywhere else on this countdown. Number 3, Buchanan, and number 2, McKinnon. Both names carry the right geography and the right timeline, and neither one has the paperwork to match. Buchanan comes from a Gaelic place name, Place of the Cow, a border clan between the lowlands and highlands that shows up inside the broader story of Scottish military migration. McKinnon comes off Skye, from the Gaelic son of Fionn, Fionn meaning fair, sitting on the same sea lanes the mercenary companies used for centuries. Geography isn't a service record, though, and both claims stay provisional until a dated Ulster document puts a named man from either family on that coastline. If your name is Buchanan or McKinnon, your bloodline runs through Scotland's war world, but the final proof is still out there, waiting on a document, not a guess. Number 1, Macquarie. This is the name that almost got left out of history books entirely, buried on a small island most people couldn't point to on a map. Macquarie, from Ulva and the wider Western Isles, waters where clan boats and hired fighters moved side by side for generations. From the Gaelic, son of Gwair. The geography lines up, the timeline lines up, and the 9 Years' War, the same war that pulled in Mackay fighters and nearly ended English rule in Ireland, stood as the last great stage where this whole trade played out. If your name is Macquarie, your bloodline may belong to the final generation of island fighters who carried this 300-year trade to its last battlefield before it disappeared for good. The name changed, the trade continued. Here's what the whole list adds up to. The Gallowglass families crossed first, and they stayed, they married in, they became part of Irish life for good. The Redshanks came later for shorter contracts and harder wars, and a lot of them went home when the fighting stopped, if they went home at all. The weapons changed hands, the uniforms changed, but the habit of crossing a sea for a paycheck and a fight never really stopped, not for 300 years straight. One thing worth saying plainly, a surname link is a historical association, not proof of direct descent from one named mercenary. The record and the name don't always meet. Drop your surname in the comments right now. If your name is on this list, I want to hear what you knew about your own bloodline. And if none of these are yours, tell me which clan you actually come from. If you want the Highland roots behind all of this, going back further, Watch the Scots-Irish Viking video linked right here.